How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. Today we are back at it with the camera, and I'm able to use the camera today because instead of reacting to a video where it's going to get all choppy, I originally was going to react to Yorkshire Canine Academy, but I decided to do something a little different. So if you want to see his video, I wish someone told me this when I had a reactive dog. Instead of listening to me rant and rave over nonsense that he spews and basically saying how he saved a dog's life because he had to use a prong collar and e-collar and he only had 10 days to save a dog's life basically, or they were going to be put down because they were so aggressive and nonsense and blah, 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 blah. Instead of listening to me talk about that for basically an hour, he has 30 minutes, but knowing me, it would be an hour. I'm going to tell you a little story about how I got my Shiba, who at one point was reactive, how I got my Shiba Inu to be so calm and soft, metaphorically soft and reliable that anybody could work with him. So I'm going to tell you that story, talk about that a little bit and open up about that versus reacting to this guy here. So instead of seeing him, we're going to be looking at this little guy, this little cutie. This is Adonis when he was a baby, when he was about, I think, 9 or 10 weeks old. And he has a little hair in his little eyeball. But this cute little hamster here, in the flash of an eye, would turn 6 months old. And he started becoming reactive and very difficult to work with. Also, don't mind the nasally voice. I apologize again. I have allergies. Everything is just like exploding around here, and so am I. So apologies for that. But anywho, if you're ready to hear the story about how I got Adonis to be so soft and responsive, then grab a snack, sit back, relax, and let's get started. So with this little guy here, like I said, in the flash of an eye, he turned 6 months old before I could believe it, and he was becoming reactive. I've mentioned before that I've taken him to trainers that used choke chains. They required a leather leash for yank and crank methods. They used a choke chain, then they upgraded him to a prong collar, and that made his behavior worse. So by reactivity, I mean that he would fence fight with dogs in the neighborhood. And the more reactive he would chase cars, and the more reactive he would get with the dogs, the more he would redirect on me, which means that he would nip and bite me in the calf and the back of the leg. And it was very painful, and he left little bruises. So the more I fought with him and the more I used those horrible tools, the worse he got. And I would yank and I would crank and I would jerk and pop, and he would scream and he would yell and he would yelp in pain, and I didn't like it, but I got so frustrated. And that's not an excuse, mind you. I never excuse myself. That is never okay. I don't care. Ignorance is not bliss with me. Both of us just were butting heads. And then we found a PetSmart trainer who was able to turn it all around like that and got us out of those horrible tools. And that very well, you could say, could save his life. I never, ever thought of ever getting rid of him or rehoming him or anything like that because of that reactivity. But what helped was she reinforced my beliefs in respecting him. And Shiba Inus, if you don't know, Shibas demand respect. They absolutely do. They demand respect. They don't put up with nonsense. Look at that cute little head. Sorry, I'm just going to be oogling at him the whole time. But Shibas demand respect. A Spitz breed will demand respect. And you're not going to tell a Shiba to do anything. You're not going to tell him to do a damn thing. You're going to ask them nicely, and if it makes sense to them, then they'll do it. You can do that through force and pain and fear and intimidation, making the dog shut down, but you're going to have a hell of a fight on your hands. Or you can show them respect and teach them, although I'm asking you to do a human thing, something that makes no sense to you, that makes sense to me as a human, that you can accomplish this goal and we can do it together. and you can still get a reward out of it. You can still get something out of it that's something that benefits you. So this goofy little face here, this is not upside down. This is him. He's laying this way, and I took the picture of him. He's just laying on his back. But this goofy little guy taught me how to truly have respect for another living being, and one that doesn't speak the same language, and one that isn't going to just put up with human nonsense. If you want to know how I got my dog to be so soft and gentle and responsive, it's through respect, mutual respect. I gave him all the respect that he deserved, and I never expected him to return the favor. I didn't expect him. I never asked him to respect me, to respect my space, I was never the master. I was never even, you could say I'm the owner, but really I was his person. We were a partnership, not a slave-master relationship. And that's why it worked so well for us. I got this little face, this little overweight 40-pound sausage that I made him into. I got him to be so gentle and kind, especially for a Shiba Inu, where I could take him anywhere. And I did. I took him anywhere and everywhere. And he joined me on my little visits to go, checking on cats for pet sitting. And he joined me. He was my demo dog. And bless his little soul, if he were still around today, he would still be doing it with me. Because he trusted me. We had trust, we had respect, mutual respect for each other. And I respected him for who he was. I had respect for him that he was an individual, that he was a Shiba Inu, that he was an independent-minded dog, that I was not going to get anywhere by using force with him. He taught me to have all the patience in the world. And through time and trial and error, he kept me honest, and he kept me on the right road. And he kept me alive in a lot of ways. Quite literally. This little guy has taught me so much more than any human really ever could. Dogs are the best teachers and trainers of other dogs, but that could also be good and bad lessons. He taught me a lot of hard lessons, but the main point behind this video is that I want you to see your dog as an individual for what they are, for who they are. That they are not just something to be conquered. They are not just something to be master of. They are individuals. They have their own hopes and wants and dreams. Well, at least hopes and wants. Wants, anyway. That's how I got, to be where I was with Adonis. And we certainly had our scuffles. We certainly had our times where I was frustrated with him and he was frustrated with me. It goes both ways. But when you stop and think about it, he would he kept me from being too serious about anything. And that's what I appreciate most about him and dogs in general, is that dogs are honest and they keep us honest. And it takes a very special breed and a very special individual to teach everyone that. You may not have that now in your life with your current dog. Maybe you already have. Maybe you've had it with a past dog. Or maybe you'll have it with a future dog. Or cat or horse or whatever animal that you may have. But specifically talking about dogs and reactivity is that he was never at risk of losing his life because of reactivity. And I never had to resort to nonsense methods to teach him anything. I didn't communicate anything through a prong collar or an e-collar. And as Yorkshire Canine Academy talks about, letting a dog be a dog through a conditioned shock collar. I know he says e-collar, but I say shock collar. That's not letting a dog be a dog. That's not that is just the threat of punishment and pain at any moment. You would not put that on Adonis, or he would shut down, or he would absolutely just tear you to bits, or tear the collar to bits. So, just wanted to explain a little bit about how I got there. I got there through positive reinforcement, through patience, through time, through understanding of my Shiba. To stop him from chasing cars, I would use positive reinforcement, because the more I tried to correct, the more he would redirect. So I would redirect his attention on a treat, on a piece of, he was never a kibble dog. He ate raw food, so I didn't have like raw chicken liver or anything with me out there. He was allergic to chicken anyway, so I didn't have anything raw out there with me, but I had little treats. Sometimes I used cat treats. Sometimes I used, a little piece of cheese or something. I don't care. I mean, that's probably how he got to be a little sausage anyway, but that's another story for another day. But I would use something that made sense to him to keep him from chasing cars, to keep him from fence fighting with other dogs. The best way to keep them under threshold, keep them from fighting, is to keep them under threshold. It doesn't have to be a football field away. Most dogs have a much lower threshold than that. But if you put the time in that your dog deserves, and your dog does deserve it, then you will absolutely get those results. It may not be quick. It doesn't have to be quick. It doesn't need to be quick. I don't care the conditions, right? I don't care the needs of people, that this dog has to be better in 10 days or it's going to die. Okay. Well, that's not the fault of the dog. That's a human error. A major human fault. But either way, if I could walk away with one thing that he has taught me, is have respect and be grateful for what your dog is teaching you. Even if it's through painful nips to the calf and them just turning their nose up to you and saying, hey, screw you, flipping you off. Be grateful for a growl. Be grateful for your dog backing away, because they're telling you everything you need to know about them. They're telling you when they're too nervous about something, that they need you to develop more trust with them. They need you to listen to them. They need to be able to trust you. So if a dog growls at you, as much as it is, you want to take it personal, be grateful for that growl. Or at least just be thankful that they didn't bite you. I'm not going to tell you that you have to be grateful for anything. That kind of comes naturally. So I've talked enough, and I want to read a short quote from my book. Oh, you can't read it because it's greened out, but Survival Guide to Dog Training, Series 1, The Basics. It is available on Etsy. But I just want to read one little quote to you, that learning can and should be enjoyable. You just have to find the right motivator for both of you. So with that, I will end this here under one condition: that you believe in yourself, not to give up when the going gets tough, and you will see it through to the end for your dog's sake. They love you endlessly and want to make you happy. So please show them the same respect and teach them the skills they need to make it in this crazy world we two-legged humans have created. Your dog is a reflection of you. So if you don't like what you see, you have the power to change that. Now go out there and have fun with your best friend. Thank you for reading, and try to stay positive. So I mean every word of that. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you got something from it. Something at least less angry, something a little more positive. Go say how to do to your little critters. Say how do you do for me. Give them some kind of love and they appreciate. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.